With Kenny Omega winning the Impact World Championship, the Forbidden Door is officially completely open at this point in time, even though AEW will not promote Impact Wrestling whatsoever. So let's get into the wrestling news and rumors, with the first story being Chris Jericho and why he wanted AEW mention when he was interviewed by Steve Austin. How much was edited off the show? He showed up on Busted Open Radio. They interviewed Chris Jericho, talked about the Broken Skull sessions that, played right after the conclusion of WrestleMania 37. It was a great episode. I suggest you guys go watch it on Peacock or WWE Network, depending on where you're located. Chris Jericho talking about going Steve Austin's Broken Skull sessions. First of all, I wouldn't have done the show if it wasn't to talk about my whole career, including AEW. There would be no benefit for me to do the show just to go on and talk about old things that I had done in WWE, and Steve wouldn't have had me on either for that reason. We were both very adamant that if we're going to do this, let's do it right. This is one of the things that I really enjoyed, and people were so surprised. You have to know how I do things at this point in time. I wouldn't do anything that wasn't exactly the way I wanted it. It turned out perfectly. Jericho was asked if you worried the final product would be heavily edited. You know how WWE is. They edit a lot of things. That's a big, concern, obviously, going in. I think the answer to that. We both were very adamant about how we wanted the show to be done. But if a certain 73-year-old wakes up one day and says, "What? I never said that," the whole thing can be changed or wiped off the face of the earth. But I also think there was a lot of trust, both from Vince McMahon and from Tony Khan, towards both Steve and myself, knowing that we wouldn't go that way. There was no reason to talk about things that were going to bury either side. It was a very positive interview, as you guys saw. So there's a lot of trust, I think, afforded to us. I think the moment when Vince said, "Do it," he knew that we would be talking about, and Tony even said it too, that he trusted Steve and I to take care of both parties, and we did that. If it was anybody else, I don't know if we would have been afforded the same trust, and there might have been a little bit more snaky. But I had Steve's word, and Steven had my word that we were going to do our best and have a great show. There was no reason to tear everybody down or talk about any bad things. I think that's one of the reasons why it pretty much aired exactly as we spoke. The thing was over 2 hours long. I don't think there was really much that was edited out. A couple lines here and there, but probably only 10 minutes out of the 2 hours plus that we talked was edited out, and that was just for time purposes. So it was a really tremendous interview between the two. Some of the stuff you heard before previously, it wasn't going to be like a complete world changer. Hearing the word AEW and the inception of AEW, how everything was created and how it all started on WWE Network, is what you kind of expected to happen. They weren't going to have him on there and just have him talk about his old stuff. It makes no point. People will probably bash the living hell out of the thing, and it'll be bad for the network and WWE in whole. So Vince McMahon opening the Forbidden Door, he's had it open previously. It's not anything new, and he does it when it's beneficial to him and his company. It's on the network. He had to go pay the network if you weren't already subscribed to go watch this. If you're interested by hearing AEW being spoken on WWE Network, big massive headline there. So smart business decision by Vince McMahon. He knows what's going to benefit his company. It's obviously beneficial to both, but more so Vince McMahon because the eyeballs are put on his network, Peacock's network, and that's where he wants it to be at. So it's a really smart, savvy business decision by him to put petty stuff to the side if it benefits the business and it's good for his brand and his business. So the Forbidden Door isn't actually a forbidden door. It's just something that's kind of something that's there, that when it comes to televised stuff on the network, USA Network or Fox, he will not mention anybody else because he doesn't want to attract eyeballs to somebody else when his show is on the air. But when it comes to his network, he wants as many eyeballs there as possible. So keeping in the same vein of this Forbidden Door, here we have Kenny Omega set to wrestle at Impact special event. Winning having the AEW Championship and being the new Impact World Champion, Kenny Omega is reportedly scheduled to work the upcoming Under Siege special event from Impact Wrestling. There is no word yet on who Omega will wrestle at Under Siege, but he is booked for the event according to Wrestling Observer Radio. Under Siege is scheduled to air Saturday, May 15th via the Impact Plus streaming platform. Obviously, he defeated Rich Swann this past Sunday at the Rebellion pay-per-view. He also currently hosts the AAA Mega title. So as noted before, Impact Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore said he expects Omega to honor the commitments and responsibilities that come with being the Impact World Champion. He noted that more will be said during Thursday's Impact show. Now, who cares, right? The most important thing here is, does AEW acknowledge Impact more now because their champion is also the Impact champion? Will it just be status quo as it's been, where they don't really bring up Impact that much. It's kind of like a a forgotten thing, and they focus only on AEW. It makes Impact look smaller and less important. Made the title match feel less important, even though it was a tremendous matchup if you watched it. Now it'd be interesting to see how they work this going forward, and if AEW acknowledges them more, makes Impact feel bigger. Him holding that title on AEW television makes him feel bigger. He has to show up on AEW this Wednesday with that title. If he doesn't, it's all for nothing. Next thing we have here, Backstage WWE reaction to UFC hosting recent pay-per-view event at full capacity. Obviously, UFC 261, highlighted by Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman, took place in Jacksonville. Packed stadium. Great to see it. You love to see it. Back to packed stadiums. Obviously they're going to take a little bit of heat for it, but, it's good to see it. Some sense of normalcy when it comes back to sports. So a lot of people in Backstage are talking about it was a little over 15,000 fans that attended to see that Usman Masvidal fighting, see Usman retain his title. This is the promotion has already confirmed they have sold out crowds for 262 next month, 263 in June, and 264, which will feature a rematch between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier in July. WWE held WrestleMania 37, Raymond James Stadium. They had the certain amount of fans that they were able to have, but people backstage are starting to talk that maybe we could start having live fans again. Not everybody's advocating for 100% capacity. It also depends on a state-by-state thing. If they want to stay in Florida, run how NXT runs the Performance Center or Full Sail, where it's just the same arena and they just have fans buying tickets and they show up every week. You could do that at the University of South Florida stadium that they're at right now. Have half Thunderdome, half fans. I just don't think it'll happen because I don't think Vince wants people to tune into his television program and see not a full packed or as many people as possible in an arena. I don't think he likes the optics of it, the visuals of it. I don't think he'll split fans and Thunderdome screens, which is probably the best thing he could probably do, but I don't think he's going to pull it. But there are people in the backstage that are kind of want fans to come back in the buildings, however that many they may be, whatever percentage. I don't think they all want 100% for obvious reasons, whatever they feel. But I think they could start doing it. The problem is I think he's going to wait because he wants complete 100% capacity for all his shows. He doesn't want the television product to be half-empty arenas, however that may look. I don't think Vince wants it. I don't think Vince is going to go for it. Now, SummerSlam coming in August, that's the big one you got to watch for. Will he do something outdoor? Will he have something where he packs a stadium or packs an arena in Florida, Texas, one of the more open states, to kind of go along with it? Next bit of news, another pro wrestling legend, using the legend word kind of loosely here, running for office. Plenty of former wrestlers have gotten into political office, Jesse the Body Ventura, and obviously you have Kane right now, Glenn Jacobs, who's the mayor of Knoxville County. Harvey Whippleman, also known as Downtown Bruno, is running for office. He submitted his application and is running for the Board of Aldermen in Walls, Mississippi. Walls, the same time he was living in when The Rock needed a place to stay at 15 years old, and Harvey was there to help him out. Voting for the general election, the Board of Aldermen starts today for absentees, and it will run until June 5th. We have to see if Harvey Whippleman can get enough votes, but he likely has The Rock's endorsement. He did have a picture posted, him and The Rock, so they're really long friends. Harvey Whippleman recently made headlines when The Rock gave him a truck. That was a pretty special video. You can check it out here. So, he's helped The Rock out a lot in his career, so Rock's paying back the favors, and he's obviously going to help him most likely get this aldermanship in Mississippi. So shout out to Harvey Whippleman for making this move into politics. Let's see how far he takes it. And he's obviously got The Rock, the biggest movie star, probably one of the biggest stars, top 5 biggest stars in the planet right now, helping him out and giving him his full endorsement. So we'll see how that turns out later. Next thing in the show, former Lucha Underground champions make AEW debut tonight on tonight's Dark episode of Dark. We have Brian Cage is going to be taking on the former Marty the Moth from Lucha Underground, Marty Casus, on AEW Dark tonight. He's training at the Nightmare Factory. Marty is. We've seen him before in Tough Enough. We've seen him before, like we said, in Lucha Underground as Marty the Moth. He'll be facing his former Lucha Underground compatriot right here. I think they both had the God of the Champion of the Gods, or whatever that belt was called in Lucha Underground. They're facing each other tonight on Dark. So, shout out to him making his debut on AEW. Hopefully we see him more longer on TV. I think he's an interesting character guy, so it'd be interesting to see how he does going forward. Next thing we got is Adnan Vink. Trends after third week on WWE Raw. Adnan Vink came in to the Raw announce table along with Corey Graves, replacing Samoa Joe and Todd Phillips. So it's been an interesting 3 weeks for this man. He's a professional broadcaster for the NHL network, for MLB network. Seen him previously before that, but it's a whole different ball game when you come to the WWE. And he's trending worldwide on Twitter. And it's basically because, he makes a lot of weird calls, says a lot of weird things. A lot of it feels generic, the stuff he says. He just doesn't know professional wrestling probably all that well, and it's coming off on TV. Here's some funny tweets from this man trending worldwide. Scott Fishman writes, the thing with Adnan Vink is that he was thrown out there on WWE Raw without having any reps calling pro wrestling. No matter how much experience you have elsewhere, WWE is a different animal. Can't imagine what's happening in the poor guy's ear. Million people talking in his ear. Vince probably yelling at him. It's a rough spot. Another one here. Turned on Raw and heard Adnan Vink say, we're going to need a bigger boat. Turned off Raw. Another one here. JD from New York. Tomatoes and water buckets. Adnan Vink has made this show even worse than it was. This isn't professional wrestling. This is an effing embarrassment. More from JD. While Braun runs around like a clown outside, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Adnan Vink. Somebody else on Twitter, 3 weeks into Adnan Vink's train wreck, wrestling Twitter to Tom Phillips, please come back to me. This is the funniest one of them all. Noah here, Sam Darnold breakout season, yeah. Adnan Vink versus Pat McAfee on commentary. You have Adnan Vink here being Kyrie Irving, 4 points, 2 for 31 from the field, 0 for 19 from 3-point. And Pat McAfee, LeBron James, 41 points, 60 from 30 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3-point and 7 assists. So you see the big disparity in statistics there and how much better one is than the other at that specific time. Adnan Vink has got to get off commentary, man. This dude is terribly bad. Tom Phillips, greater than Adnan Vink. And ever getting strong Arnie Pie vibes from his when he gets excited. You know Arnie Pie in the sky from The Simpsons. Wrestling Twitter, every time Adnan Vink speaks, is there any way we can cut his mic? Yeah, so you see a lot of people not happy with this guy, the IWC to Adnan Vink. You see the middle fingers from the inner circle there. People who are better on commentary than Adnan Vink: Tom Phillips, Mojo, Pat McAfee, Beth Phoenix, Michael Cole, Byron, Space Ghost. For the past 3 weeks, Adnan Vink made his debut on the WWE commentary team. Everyone deserves a chance to learn, but now I'm not giving him a chance. I'm sorry, but this guy effing sucks. He literally brings zero excitement. He does more harm than good to the show. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with majority of that stuff. He's really not done that well. It's a lot of generic, weird statements that he makes. Phony excitement, phony, it just sounds all staged, animation from him on calls and stuff like that. So he really hasn't really worked out that well. He's just not a pro wrestling guy, so you can't just throw somebody in there like that without having a lot of some type of backing in pro wrestling, calling pro wrestling, the storyline and stuff like that. He said the second night on Raw, in the open to the show, that storylines were continuing, or storylines were he literally said storylines, right? Like, he literally said that word storyline. It should have been feuds, issues, anything else other than storylines. I mean, you use that type of verbiage on Monday Night Raw, kind of destroys it for everybody else, right? All right, next story. WWE Raw viewership falls hard. So you're staying with the Raw narrative. Here we go. WWE brought a disjointed episode of Raw this week in the end. Obviously, you saw my Raw review. It's on there. Make sure you check it out. It's a pretty bad episode of Monday Night Raw. We covered in all detail. Make sure you drop a like on that video. Drop a like on this video. Hit the chair in the corner before it hits you first and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot, especially those likes. All right, so they added Charlotte Flair back from the Red Brand roster. Braun Strowman was added to WrestleMania Backlash in the main event. The viewers tune in. Showbuzz Daily reports that the episode of WWE Raw brought an overnight 3-hour overnight average of 1.77 million viewers and a 0.49 in the 18 to 49 demographic. Last week drew 1.907 million viewers. That was a fall from the previous week. So ratings continue to go down, especially historically. The time after WrestleMania, especially the past decade, has always kind of been a lot of a letdown. The summer comes around, you're waiting for SummerSlam, people are going out more because the weather's nice, and yeah, you start dealing with these type of things. They don't have the Monday Night Football to go against, but the storylines tend to get kind of weak after WrestleMania, so it kind of drop down. You're waiting those 6 months until SummerSlam to kind of pick things back up. Last night's Raw was absolutely garbage. The stuff we're doing with Alexa Bliss is not good. The whole Candyman thing she has going on with Lily, the jump scare that they did on Monday Night Raw, bad stuff. Adnan Vink not helping. The beginning 20-minute segment that was Braun Drew, T-Bar, and Mace, why they still have the names after losing the mask makes no sense. That whole 20-minute segment in the beginning was just long, annoying. The women's tag team division is just horrendous. You have the men's tag team division was just abysmal, and haven't seen those tag team champions since WrestleMania, and let's get to that. WWE announces the first post-WrestleMania 37 appearance for AJ and Omos. We haven't seen these two guys since winning the tag team champions against the New Day at WrestleMania 37 and Omos' debut, which I thought was a solid match. It was fun. It was what it was for. It delivered on that. AJ becoming the Grand Slam champion, Omos having a solid, showing in his first in-ring appearance. Obviously, the New Day made him look a lot better. But WWE announces. They haven't announced why we haven't seen them since then, but they're announcing when they're going to show up, and it's tomorrow, Wednesday, April 28th on The Bump. They're going to be there. Maybe we'll get some info into why they haven't been on TV. When are they gonna be on TV? I'm assuming if they're gonna show up on The Bump, they gotta show up on next Monday's Raw, right? Only makes sense. But this hurts the tag team division for their champions to win it and then not show up any day after that. Makes no sense. The Bump, whatever. I'm a big AJ guy. Hopefully he comes back soon. He can hold it by himself for a little bit if they don't want to have Omos on TV too much. Doesn't make a ton of sense here, but they're gonna come back at least to The Bump. You see them there and then go on from there. See if they show up on Monday Night Raw after this or something like that. Let's put the last story here, and it's about AEW. Current situation of AEW Dynamite possibly moving for Turner's new NHL deal. So Turner Broadcasting won the rights to NHL contract. The 7-year deal could also change AEW situation with TNT. This is still a very new situation. Nothing has been 100% confirmed yet. But Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed the current situation with NHL moving to Turner Networks. TNT and TBS will host those games, but it's unknown if it will cause a change to AEW Dynamite's Wednesday night spot. Now, NBC Sports used to have the NHL before. They used to have the Wednesday night games, the big Wednesday night hockey games. Can Turner want to keep hockey fans on the same night? And because people are already preconditioned to know Wednesday night was that big game, big national game for the NHL, hockey fans are conditioned for that day to be that game. So can they keep it the same? That would obviously hurt. Unless they put it on TBS, that would obviously hurt. Dynamite would have to move nights. I don't think it's gonna happen because they are drawing over 1 million viewers. So do you want to shake that up? I don't think so. They're finally going unopposed for the last 2 weeks. It's a good spot for them. They're bringing in the viewership. What do? Do you keep them there? Do you switch them? I think it's probably okay that they're going to keep them there and move the NHL maybe to TBS on Wednesday nights or another night during the week for those nationally televised matches, those games. For TNT to move AEW, and the problem is, and this is why it probably won't be happening, is your choices could be Monday night and Friday night, and it would probably be a Friday night because Tony Khan was very adamant about not running it on Monday night because he doesn't want to go against the NFL 3 months out of the year. More than that, actually, Friday would be going back to splitting the audience, and you're on a much weaker channel than Fox. Yeah, they're slim on choices. Do they move Thursday? If they go Thursday, they're competing with Impact Wrestling, the company they're kind of working together with. Could they have Impact AEW mega shows? They could do that. You could have both of them on the same show. That's something you can eventually do later on down the road, but over time, it doesn't really work that well. I don't think they're gonna move them because I think it's not beneficial for AEW. I think it'll hurt them in the end. They'll go back to square one. They're hitting the 1 million views. They want that. They want that viewership. I don't think they're going to touch it. I don't think they're going to change it. Not for the NHL, which isn't, let's be honest, isn't the NBA, isn't the NFL, obviously, and it's not even the MLB. It's just the lower of the 4 sports, major sports. So I think they'll probably be the ones that end up moving nights. I think Turner will be smart with this, hopefully, and not mess with AEW's viewership because it is pushing 1 million. But that's the wrestling news we got for you guys today. Appreciate you for tuning in into the channel. Make sure you drop a like on this video. It helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm, pushing our videos out there so more people see them. Hit the chair again so it doesn't hit you first. And subscribe to the channel. Notification when new videos drop. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you tune in tonight for NXT Tuesday, our review after the show for NXT. And then tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. again, Eastern time, you'll get the wrestling news and rumors for Wednesday, April 28th. This was the wrestling news and rumors for April 27th, this Tuesday. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If it doesn't work for it, then not do the job.